put a video the other day of state trooper in Arizona giving me a hard time about where I was parked, okay? And you know, at the end of the day, I put it on there because there was some other issues with the Arizona state troopers that some other people were showing me, okay? And a whole bunch of people, and I'm assuming a bunch of them are not even truck drivers, because they would say, why don't you just go park somewhere else? If you read the description, you see I'm on my 10-hour break. And yes, your state trooper could tell you to move, and you have to move. And as far as if you're doing something wrong, if you're doing something wrong, that's right. You're gonna have to move, no doubt about that. If you're doing something wrong, I'm parked on the middle of the desert in Arizona on I-40. There's nothing around me, no businesses, no nothing. It's a little piece of land that's at the top of the ramp that does not have any signs, chains, barriers, markers, or anything. A few feet from there is an entrance into the desert. Anybody that knows anything about Arizona knows that there's some places that you can go into the desert. It's free. You can go park over there, whatever, for a certain amount of time, I'm assuming. But here's the point that I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that I was finishing up a 10-hour break. I had about 15 minutes left on my clock. I was airing up my system, doing my pre-trip, doing some paperwork, when a minivan shows up out of the middle of nowhere with two guys dressed in plain clothes, Saturday clothes, I guess you'd call it, just regular, everyday, fuck around clothes. And they were in this little silver minivan. If you go to Keep Trucking with Mr. Cadillac, you can see all 3 videos. The guy pulls up to me and me only. And I don't know if it was because I had my blue lights on and I stood out from everybody else that was sitting up there. I have no clue. I don't know if it had something to do with my tattoos on my face, because they rolled up and looked right at me for a few seconds. And then he made the comment, something, and I couldn't hear it because I had my truck idling. And I asked him what it was he said, and he told me that I have to move. I asked him who he was, and he said, don't worry about it, move. And I said, if you got a problem with where I'm parked, call the cops. He then said he is a cop. At that point, I grabbed my phone off my dash and I stepped down out of the truck to record the conversation between me and him, because I know this can't be right. This has got to be some bullshit. He would have identified himself, showed me a badge. Why would you be in those clothes? I mean, you could be undercover, but you would show me something. But when I got down out of the truck, you could see in one of those videos that he just took off. He took off, he didn't say nothing else, and that was it. I called the Arizona State Police and let them know that there was a couple of guys out there that said they were cops. I was curious if they had somebody that could call me back. Instead, they said, no, we have state troopers coming to see you. First thing the state trooper did when he showed up is he got out the car. He didn't say hello or nothing. He put his hand on his gun and told me to put my hands on my head. I did what I was told. I put my hands on my head. I said, what's the problem? I'm the one, because I had already called in. I said I had called in as well. I don't claim to know the laws of Arizona, but I do know when something doesn't sound right. And part of this was me and my feelings. He saw that I had a little K-bar knife on the side of my waist. I just came from walking out in the desert about 45 minutes earlier, getting my morning exercise. And at the end of the day, I had my shirt off, which shows all my tattoos all over my neck and body and everything else. So he asked me to put my hands on my head immediately, and assuming that I was doing something wrong, which I was not. And at the end of the day, that did touch a nerve with me. I have in the past, I don't have a good past. I did a lot of time in the penitentiary, but I did my time for all the stuff I did. And I have my own business now. This is my truck. I have another one. This is my house. I live out here in Kansas, and I'm always on the road. New York to LA, Miami to Seattle. I'm been driving since 2005. I've hauled fuel. I've hauled cattle, and right now I'm hauling dry van. I have my own authority, and I can do my own thing if I choose to. It just so happens right now I'm signed on with a company. At the end of the day, making the comments that if I'm a trucker, I should know this and I should know that. You're right, I do, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to abide by everything. I'm not some of y'all call them bootlicker. I'm not kissing everybody's ass. I'm going to do what I got to do to be safe. I'm going to take care of my business. I'm going to do what I got to do to come home to my wife and kid. And I'm going to be as generously courteous to everybody as I can. But when you first come up and give me an attitude and I don't feel like I'm in the wrong, at the end of the day, I'm gonna stand up for myself. I'm legal now. Back in the day, I got picked on all the time by the police. Move, and I had to do it because I either had some little bullshit warrant or some little fucking legal problems I was dealing with or whatever. I don't live my life like that no more. Back then, I had to cower up and do what the fuck you told me to do. This day and age, they shoot motherfuckers, they arrest them and make up shit, they lie constantly. You see it all on the news. They've gone into people's houses and with search warrants, bullshit ass search warrants. There was one on CNN the other day where these Atlanta police officers all went down in somebody's basement and was stealing all their jewelry and shit right on their body cams. Look it up on YouTube. I do not trust every officer that I come across, and if you come across me with a shitty ass attitude, then I'm gonna give you one right back. And somebody say, well, you're gonna go to jail. Okay, so what? I'm gonna go to jail. I can pay my fine and get out. Some of you motherfuckers that have never been victimized by the police don't have any understanding of the reason some of us have problems with them. And we could not be doing nothing. My brother's been victimized and he ain't no criminal. He ain't never been in trouble. So at the end of the day, there are plenty of reasons why I don't get along with authority. I got a ticket just the other day. It was a speeding ticket for 8 miles an hour over the speed limit. I was in my personal vehicle and I was driving to the shop to pick up my truck. Well, long story short, I didn't give that officer no problems. I smiled, I laughed, I said, okay, you got me. I don't have a problem as long as you're not coming at me with a shitty ass fucking attitude. Everybody telling me, why don't you just be a good boy and move? Man, suck my fucking dick, man. You fucking move, bitch. I'm not moving from shit. That's it. I done paid my motherfucking cost. I done lived my life the way I did before, and now I'm living it right. So I'm not gonna just sit there and let somebody fucking bully me for no reason on the side of the fucking road. He didn't even ask me what happened. He didn't ask me nothing. So to finish the story, at the end of the day, what the Arizona DOT officer did was assume that ADOT called in a report and was having a problem with me. Only over the phone. In other words, it turns out it was just some asshole driving down the road who stopped to take a piss there and came over there fucking around, is all it was. That turns out what it is. ADOT, they got involved later on. They said they had nobody out there to call in anything. And they said that they did not have a problem with me parked there. I was parked legally. Later on, the captain with the Arizona State Troopers in that area called me and apologized and said his guy was wrong and he will be retrained after they watched all the body cam videos. By the way, look at the numbers on my video with the thumbs up and most of the comments. I'm in the right with everybody. So you few motherfuckers that have something negative to say, or what can I say? Everybody's not going to be happy. You ain't never been a victim more than likely. You don't know nothing about that life. So if you feel that way, you shouldn't have even said nothing. You should have just kept on going. Don't even say nothing. If you don't like it, nobody asked you to look at the video. I put the video on there for people that have gone through the similar situation. At the end of the day, I did not get trespassed. Some people said, well, I heard you say you're not going to let me trespass you. And they were right. I would let them take me to jail first. And then they could trespass me, of course, at that point. But at that point, we'll be in court and that will be reversed. Well, guess what? When a supervisor got on duty and found out about it, there was no trespass handed out at all. Some people say, well, that's because he didn't want to deal with you. You don't know what the fuck you talking about because you wasn't there. I was. They were wrong. How are you going to trespass somebody from a place that's not marked? No trespassing, no barriers, no nothing. There's public easement and all kinds of other laws that you obviously don't know nothing about. And to be honest, I don't know all the laws. But if you hear me say in the video, when the supervisor gets here, if you're right, I guess I will be educated. I'm willing to ask. I'm willing to push the limit to get educated. So next time I know what I'm talking about. And there's been many a times that I've had to be educated. I didn't learn this. I just didn't know this out of nowhere. I've made a lot of mistakes and I learned from them mistakes. Now that I've learned from them, it doesn't mean that I'm going to let a motherfucker push me all over the side of the fucking road. It is true. Truck stops are packed full every fucking night. You got new guys driving that don't know how to drive, backing in and taking off my mirror. For instance, that mirror up there that we just replaced. I don't park at truck stops. I park on the side of the ramps when I can. I park in the fucking desert. I'm out of everybody's way and I handle my business. I stay to myself. I don't, fuck with people. I stay out there and that's just what I do. But if it says no parking, I'm not gonna park there. If there's a fucking barrier there, that's obviously they don't want me there. There was none of that shit there. I talked to the head of ADOT, and he told me, and I believe his name was Mike. I think it was Mike Hamilton. I'm not sure. I had to go back and look. It was a while ago, and he told me directly that he did not have a problem with me parking there. If Arizona did not want you to be there, they would not have it available. There would be signs that say no parking. There would be barriers up there, concrete blocks, all of that. There wasn't any of that. It's not marked, nothing. Not only that, keep in mind, I was not the only one parked there. There were 3 other trucks there earlier. And why did they come and just say something to me? I mean, come on, man. So at the end of the day, I'm willing to pay the cost. If I'm wrong, then I'll go to jail and I'll pay for it. Hell, I went to prison for armed robbery. What the fuck is going to jail for arguing with somebody about a parking spot? At least I learned something out of it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I'm right, I'm right. Not just gonna get up and fucking move just every time somebody comes along and says something. Keep in mind, the guy said he was a cop. He wasn't. He lied. You know, Arizona DOT said it was cool for me to park there. So all these other negative comments about why don't I move? Because if I move, then he's going to continue to victimize other people and run around bullying people. It's when we stand up and say no. If we're right now, if we're right, that's cool. If you're wrong, then you're right. You need to, figure it out. Either you need to pay the cost and learn the lesson, which I've done many a times, or you need to fucking just leave it alone. Your choice. Me, I choose to go down the other path. I've been bullied too many times in my life. I'm almost 50 years old. I'm 49. I'm not fixed to continue to live my life. Every time a motherfucker come along and tell me to move, that's like somebody telling you to move at Walmart. You wouldn't do that. More than likely, I'll say that. Some of you would. You're scary and you'd move. Yes, sir. No problem, sir. I'll do that. Some of us that have been on the other end and lived life a little differently, look at things differently. At the end of the fucking day, it's like me coming up to Walmart. I was legally parked just as much as you would have been at Walmart. Parked right there in that little spot of desert on the side of the road. So, at the end of the day, it was all confirmed that what I said was true by the DOT officers and by ADOT. The cop was not listening. I told him it was not an Arizona DOT truck that called in, that it was some guys in a minivan. He didn't want to hear what I had to say. Yeah. Trucking with Mr. Cadillac, you see all 3 videos, and at the end of the day, what? I went ahead and let him have my ID under the threat of arrest, but he was hoping it was going to be some warrants. He didn't check that other guy's ID in the video. He just said, you can go ahead and go on. Okay? At the end of the day, he didn't have a problem with him. He had a problem with me because of the way the fuck I looked. And somebody can say, well, that's bullshit. Well, then you tell me another reason. If there's other guys out there and he didn't ask for their ID, why the fuck he got mine? So, this is the way I live my life. If you don't like it, I appreciate that. I appreciate you speaking that and saying that. You shouldn't have even stopped. You should have just kept on going and watched a video with some butterflies on it and some girls dancing and whatever the fuck it is you wanted to look at.